What was the Civil War? Well, here's a summary about it, starting with Abraham Lincoln being elected president on November 6th of 1860. When he was elected, he said, "Government cannot endure permanently half slave, half free."
The month following Abraham Lincoln's election, South Carolina seceded from the Union. They were then followed by Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas.
The seceding states decided to form their own nation. On February 9th of 1861, the Confederate States were formed. Jefferson Davis is elected as the president of the newly formed states.
Fort Sumter was attacked by the Confederacy on April 12th of 1861. This was the battle that started the war. The Confederates attacked with 50 cannons at Fort Sumter in South Carolina. More states then began to secede from the Union.
A few days later, on April 19th, Abraham Lincoln announces the Union blockade. The Union Navy attempted to keep supplies from entering or leaving the Confederacy. This blockade will weaken the Confederacy later in the war.
Throughout 1861 and 1862, there were many battles where lots of soldiers from both sides were wounded and killed. Some of the major battles included the First and Second Battles of Bull Run, the Battle of Shiloh, the Battle of Antietam, and the Battle of Fredericksburg. There were also the famous sea battles between the two ironclad battleships, the Monitor and the Merrimac. These ships had iron or steel plates on their sides for armor, making them much stronger and changing war on the seas forever.
On January 1st, 1863, Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. This proclamation was meant to free many black slaves. Black men are now able to enlist in the Union Army.
The Battle of Gettysburg started on July 1st and went through July 3rd of 1863. This is the battle that turns the war around for the North or the Union. They win the battle, but they also begin to win the war itself. It is one of the bloodiest battles of the war. Around 50,000 men were killed or injured in battle.
On November 19th of 1863, Abraham Lincoln comes to Gettysburg and delivers his famous speech, the Gettysburg Address, that dedicates the battlefield as a national cemetery.
A few months after President Lincoln delivers the Gettysburg Address, General Sherman captured the city of Atlanta, Georgia. Later in the year, he would march to the sea and capture Savannah, Georgia. On his way, he would destroy and burn much of the land his army passed through.
Finally, on April 9th of 1865, General Robert E. Lee, the leader of the Confederate Army, surrenders to General Ulysses S. Grant. The war is officially over and the Union has won.
Just days after the war was declared over, while attending Ford's Theater, President Lincoln is shot and killed by John Wilkes Booth. Though President Lincoln was assassinated, because of his presidency and the war, all people who live in the United States are free.